So I'm sure all of you guys have been through 1,000 talks on SEO and all these SEO experts claiming they know everything there is to know about the Google algorithms and all that stuff. I'm up here saying I'm not an SEO expert. I don't claim to be an SEO expert. I've been around for a long time and I know exactly how to do it and what to do. So this talk isn't more about teaching about SEO. It's more about talking about the world of SEO and where it might be changing or going to, and how I believe the trends of SEO are coming along. So let's see if this works. Nope. I am part of a giant company, so here's the most exciting slide, our safe harbor agreements and forward-looking statements and all the stuff that we have to entail. So feel free to read through that if you guys would like. Quick introduction about me. Like I said, I played college basketball and professional basketball for a while. After college, I started my own web design company for about 4 or 5 years, and then ended up going into working for the Charlotte Bobcats in the NBA and on a digital front. Kind of overseeing all of their digital activities back in about 10 years ago now, when digital was really kind of pushing the curve for the NBA. So I started their social media accounts, I started the email marketing, started automation, started really taking their website from a news article site to some more interactive elements and microsites and landing pages and all that stuff. And from there I worked at a bigger B2B manufacturer in Pentair for about 4 or 5 years, and just recently, a few months ago, I landed a job at Ingersoll Rand, which is another big B2B manufacturer that no one's ever heard of. So to kind of give some clarification, here's kind of the brands under Ingersoll Rand. We own Club Car. Ingersoll Rand is a product brand name as well, so there's a big compressor company, and Ingersoll Rand Tools is the official tools of NASCAR. I know that you guys are excited about that. Thermo King, and then Train commercial air conditioning units for residential and commercial buildings. So quick insight on Ingersoll Rand. A lot of people don't realize how big they are when you say the brand name. So one stat I have, right? We're all in this digital marketing world. We're all kind of considered, there's marketing, and we've been in this silo of digital marketers, right? And that marketing leaders don't really understand. There's not really many marketing leaders that have been grown up through the digital era and really know the correlation between how digital and marketing is going to kind of come into one. So I believe this is kind of a big statement of where I think marketing will go, because so much more dollars are being invested in digital marketing that it's not just going to be its own little silo. It's basically going to be marketing. That's really what I believe, how marketing is going to kind of transcend into this digital world. So what we're going to learn today, kind of three topics: optimize for search experience, creating content for people, not search engines, and how voice search is coming in the world fast and furious as we all know it. So, you guys ready? Who thinks they know the secret to SEO? Anyone in here? Raise their hand. Anyone know the secret to SEO? I'm going to blow you guys' mind right now. Let me know if you're ready for this one. You ready? There's no secret. There's no secret at all. There's no secret code to put on your website. The days of the black hat versus white hat stories, none of that happens anymore. As long as you put the work in and set up the site the right way, there's no real secret sauce to kind of get you ranking organically on Google. So our first step, optimizing for search experience. So right now, 93% of online experiences begin with the search engine, whether it be for products on Google or Amazon search. People go online, 93% of people start their experience by searching for something, whether that might be product or whatever. So in the search landscape, if you look at Google, a lot of that is paid right now. Just by basing, mobile's on the right and the desktop is on the left. There's really so much environment in this search experience world going on. It's not just your organic searches. There's so many more pieces to your search experience, as we'll call it for tonight. And we'll kind of learn what all those pieces are. So you have, your paid search, and just recently, 6 or 7 months ago, they increased the character limit on organic searches. You also have the people also ask for section. So all these kind of pieces are part of the search experience nowadays that all really kind of factor into your actual organic listings. And the last kind of piece is there's still more to it than just your one-page website. There's news content, there's social content, there's the knowledge graph on the left side of Google. So all these kind of pieces that are part of the search engine experience are all part of your organic ranking, how people view you, and kind of where it sees it besides just your one-page or two-page organic listing on Google. So some other pieces to kind of optimize for search experience is, if you have any apps on the App Store, some of your YouTube channel, your YouTube stuff shows up in the search results. If you're a local listing, some of your Google My Business shows up. Any social media optimization you guys have, all this kind of encompasses all the search experience. So when I talk about search engine optimization, yeah, you want to make sure your organic listing's good, but all these other factors really come into play for your search engine marketing per se in the organic world. So what can you kind of take from that, right? You want to be as visible as much as you can everywhere you can. And then use every part of the search results. Don't always just put all your factors into, I got to make sure I'm good for my organic listings. There's so much more organic space than just your one organic search. And then you always want to optimize beyond the search engine, through those other channels to make sure your company is being viewed in whatever light that be, in whatever channel that is. So I believe that search experience optimization is the new SEO. It's a little different term, but it is more about the customer experience on the search engine, other than just your one result on your organic listing. So the next topic I have is creating content for people, not search engines. A lot of people kind of talk about, you want to make sure you understand your customer journey and building out customer personas online. And it's a really big piece of kind of understand your customer, having a customer first mentality on your website, right? I know a lot of companies, especially in the product world, all they want to do is put the features and benefits on their site. Yep, we're good to go. We got our brochure on our website, but the customers aren't maybe looking for those features and benefits. The customers are trying to solve a problem. So how does this really impact your content, right? So if you Google a term, email marketing, I know it's kind of broad and whatnot, but it's such a high volume term, it's not really going to kind of give you the results that you want. So you really want to you want to go for these search terms. You got to kind of like get more ingrained in the topic. And the piece about that is a lot of people try to do 1 or 2 word topics, but you really want to try to embrace the long tail keywords. So try to really kind of answer questions. So it's not just one broad term and you're going to spend all your time and money trying to capture that one broad term. If you can do some research on your customers and see how your customers are looking for your company, there's so many long tail search results that come up that you can really do a good job trying to market to your customers instead of just trying to go after the high volume term that a lot of people are kind of searching for. There's a lot of topics that you can kind of create content around whatever you're trying to market for. So why does content matter and why does long queries matter, right? So there's 60% of the queries out there are four words or more. So you have your email marketing piece, but you also have, people are asking questions, people are trying to figure out, is there more to this email marketing piece, or how do I learn email marketing, or whatever that might be. You can see there's a lot of words on the first page of Google. So the more you can kind of understand the long tail keyword piece, it'll be a lot better and kind of more intuitive for your company to kind of make sure that you're taking the next step over your competition. And so this is kind of helping to understand and knowing your customers, right? Know who your audience is. Go beyond the keyword tools and SEMrush and all the very kind of tactical stuff. There's so much more content out there that you can kind of teach and understand instead of just using an SEMrush to say, all right, I got to make sure my site has the right technical aspect. Well, yes, that's one piece of it, but the overall search experience piece is really understanding the different type of search results, using kind of social listening a little bit in order to kind of understand what your customers are trying to want, and then frequently doing competitive research, right? You're always in order to grow and kind of outlast your competition, you're really going to want to see what they're doing, how they're doing it, in order to know how to beat them. And then, this is kind of a no-brainer, but there's more pieces to this as well, right? Building mobile-first experiences. So, we have to have a mobile site. It has to be responsive. That's 5 years ago, 10 years ago now. But page load speed really comes into play when you're talking about organic listing, how Google kind of ranks your site, right? The mobile-first index is here, and so Google's giving preference over how fast your page loads compared to your competition. So if you can compress all your images, really understand how to do that and what it takes to speed up your site, it's only going to help your entire search experience other than just the keywords on your site. And then there's tools. There's a lot of other tools like Page Speed Insights is one example where it kind of show you how fast your site is and how you're kind of ranking against your competition. One piece, I know this is the Magento conference, so kind of lean on the tools that are there with Magento, right? I feel like SEO is a process, not a goal. A lot of times people put their site in an SEMrush or a SEO platform, and it gives you this thing. You have 80,000 errors on your site, and then some digital marketing company is going to come in and say, I'll charge you $10,000 a month to fix your $80,000 or 80,000 errors. And so you just have to realize every site has 80,000 errors or whatever number that comes in, right? So your goal is to be the least imperfect. Being tall, I use this term a lot, but you want to be the tallest midget in the room, right? So you want to make sure that you just need to beat your competition, and you don't have to be absolutely perfect as long as you're kind of limiting and setting it and being consistent and not worried about getting rid of every single error. Yeah, it's very important to do that, but at the end of the day, you're going to have errors because that's the way Google works. You're never going to understand. Google's always going to be one step ahead of us or 2 or 3 steps ahead of us. So trying to limit that factor with that. I just kind of pulled this out. So kind of 7 best practices for setting up your Magento store for any merchants in here. But these are kind of just 7 pieces that it was a blog that Magento talked about to kind of give some kind of just basic things on how Magento's there for you and how do you kind of optimize your Magento experience. It's pretty simple and self-explanatory, but I just thought I'd kind of share these 7 tips that Magento is offering merchants as well once you get started in a Magento store, and make sure that you're kind of setting it up for success in the long term. So what I kind of say is optimize for people and not search engines. It's the people out there you really want to market to. Yes, Google has all their algorithms, but they're really kind of changing their algorithms to be more content-driven and more based off who your customers are. So kind of 3 takeaways from that is, don't be biased by the keywords. Really embrace those long-tail keywords. They're going to get you a long way, and we'll understand here why we'll be there. Understand audience intent and create content for your audiences, not for the search engines. And then, using Magento's features to build a solid SEO foundation. Magento is a really good platform to kind of help you improve your overall search experience. So the last piece, which is also the most exciting and the least amount of information out there. There's not much information about voice search now, and there's a whole bunch more to come. So how many people in the room have an Alexa or a Google Home or some one of those devices? How many ask it questions and say, hey, tell me this, right? How many of you guys that have those devices have a website or work on a website that tailors to voice search? Anyone work with that? Okay. How many people have kids that talk to these devices all the time, right? Isn't it kind of how it works, right? Well, all that means is this is what they know how to search. They don't know how to go on a phone or a computer and search something. They're going to know it by this, and Alexa's going to tell them whatever they want to know. And the really kind of crucial thing with that is position 0. I don't know if this is a term yet, but what it is position 0 appears above all other even paid or SEO, organic listings, and it really answers the questions that Alexa or Google Home will be answering. And position 0, featured snippets, whatever you want to call it, this is the only thing that Alexa's telling that Google is telling the devices, right? And so you really want to make sure that you kind of optimize for that. And this is where the long tail keywords kind of come in board, is because you're asking it a question, right? So if you set up your blog asking questions, not just website cost, right? So you set up your blog, your page is how much should a website cost? I know it's kind of unrealistic for the merchants and vendors out here, but it gives a good example that, this website build expert is doing something right. He might not know it at the time, but he did something right where if you ask Alexa, how much should a website cost, it's going to tell you this. So really try to understand what questions your customers are asking you in order to kind of understand and get in those featured snippets, because that's only going to be the way of the future. Yeah, kind of go off what I said a little bit, right? It only has one result, and it's the only result spoken back to you. And then the good thing about it is really trying to understand common questions that your customers want to ask. Reach out to customers, see what works. Use all the tools in the SEMrushes and the Google Analytics to understand what pages drive traffic, but also knowing your customers and knowing what questions they ask about your products, your services. That's going to kind of help you get in the kind of featured snippet position 0 sections. And I know Magento is working a lot of this. I know they had a lot of talk last year's Imagine about creating different skills and actions within Alexa and Google Home. So Google does a really good job to make voice searchable for a lot of really interesting topics. And so you can kind of team up with Magento. This is kind of more of a developer issue thing that I don't have too much information on. I know it's getting there and being out there. But you can give skills to your store or whatever to kind of help Alexa get started along that path. So it's kind of really interesting stuff how Magento is really trying to integrate by giving skills and whatnot with the devices. So wrapping that up, prepare for a voice-first world, right? We're going to be there someday. We don't know when, but then there's really not much information about there now. I really think optimizing for position 0 and those feature snippets is very crucial. It's only going to kind of lead where your website or whatever web page site you're working on is going to kind of go in the next step in the future. And then, you want to make content searchable for these voice-enabled devices. And exactly right. So the future is yet to be written. There's a lot we don't know. Google hasn't really given us much information about voice search results. All the data behind that, we don't know. Maybe they don't really know yet either. But we do know that the behavior is changing. And we do know that the younger generation is going to keep speaking to those voice-enabled devices and only grow the number of searches in that whole bucket of area, right? And so we have to kind of, as digital people, we have to kind of define how voice search is happening. Do we know all those ideas and realistic answers? No, we don't know that yet. But we'll get there. And as kind of digital people, we can kind of help define what that world looks like. So to kind of wrap things up real quick, I believe search experience optimization is the new SEO, right? You really want to make sure you create content for people, not the search engines. Don't wait, and then really make sure that voice search is here now. We might not know all about it, but it's here now, and it's the best thing for us to do. So that's all I got for my quick tip, and thanks for your time for listening. I'll take any questions if you guys have anything. Yes, sir. Yep. So if you had structured and layered navigation, right, a lot of times, or if you have different types of pages that kind of create the same content, I know a lot of times Magento with some of their layered navigation, they can give Google, 300,000 different combinations of websites. So you really want to make sure that you want to make sure that you give Google the right pages that you want to be indexed, and not like. Yep. Yeah. And then you throw out your canonical versus non-canonical, and we can get super technical if you want to get technical. But yeah, that's something like that, yeah. Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Cool. Well, yeah, thanks for your time, everyone, and I appreciate that.